Hey everyone, welcome back to the Get Started podcast. I'm Rodrigo Mendez, and we're going to dive into a conversation today with someone who is not only leading growth at the START Nuremberg, but also making serious strides into the professional world. I want you guys to meet Lorenzo Steinert.
Yeah, correct.
He's the managing director of the growth department, as I mentioned, in START Nuremberg, and he's currently a working student at PwC. And also involved in, I want to get it right, Gründungsmagnet
Yeah,
here
exactly.
locally in Nuremberg also, and a full-time international business student. So I can also quickly mention his, let's say, his resume, we can call it this way, that of course START very much involved in PwC, and officially, let's say, a CFO or people lead at Gründungsmagnet.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm actually a part of the Zollhof talent program, and Lorenzo is also a part of this here at Zollhof. So a lot of high energy and startup environments going on. So welcome to the show, Lorenzo.
Pleasure to be here.
Sweet. We can start, let's say, on, as I first alluded to with this, that there's a lot of different experiences that you've been going through with working student and also volunteering. So my first question would be, what is your background before you started the PwC and START and also Gründungsmagnet? So let's go back maybe 2-3 years, however long before this. What drew you to get started on this?
It was it's not that big of a story actually. I just did my A-levels and then I went to hospitality in a 5-star hotel at Tegernsee.
Okay.
So worked there full time. So it's like the lowest position you can get there. We also don't need an apprentice or something like that. You can just start away. I learned like barista, handle high-end service and all this stuff. And then I just started my studies here in Nuremberg at the FAU at this time. And it was actually funny. I think START posted something about the Road to START Summit at 2023, I guess it was. And Jenny asked in our friends group who wants to go there, and I was the only one who said, yeah, for sure. So we went both at the same time to the event, and then Andrea, at this time she was the MD of HR, talked to us and motivated us to apply to START Nürnberg. So, and then from there it goes. I started with START Nürnberg at the first time. I was at the HR, people, or now people and culture.
Yeah.
Work there it wasn't a big department at this time. We were like, I think 30 members in total at START. So it was way smaller at this time.
Yeah.
And then after Andrea left, I was in the talk with getting into the board as MD of people. Actually, it was planned. I will be the MD of people, but then, as you see, I'm now the MD of growth, so everything comes in differently. Also because Nico was so motivated and he did a great job actually. So I'm actually quite happy that he took over the HR, because for me, HR is not something I really think is so much fun in general, or so much motivated, because it's like getting new people, new members. So it's like standardized work, and then
it's very people oriented, and
exactly.
the processing and applications.
It's nothing new in my opinion, and I think the new opportunities are way cooler to work with. And then I guess I started my PwC internship when I was, I think, last year in October. I have to do it because of the university curriculum for my international studies. And I was there for 7 months. And then I started as a working student. And I think with like Gründungsmagnet, I started actually this year in February. So that was, I think, the last 2 years in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So a lot of things, but a lot of fun as well. And I think also between START and also PwC, there was also like the talent program, as you mentioned, just for 3 months. Actually, before October, before I started PwC, I was at the talent program.
Okay.
So it was a really nice time, an eye-opening time actually, and it helped me a lot with Gründungsmagnet and also with START. So yeah.
Do you see that a lot of these experiences are maybe interconnected in a way, or there's also maybe they have their own life, and you just by some chance got involved there because you mentioned, okay, I want to go into the summit. Jenny proposed it. and then before you knew it, you were getting involved more and more with the responsibility, and then now, let's say PwC and Gründungsmagnet. So
Yeah,
how do you make sense of it for you?
I guess like with START and Gründungsmagnet, there is a connection because like Gründungsmagnet is like the initiative which tries to connect other initiatives.
Yeah.
So like a Dachverband in German. So there was a really big connection for sure, because over START I joined Gründungsmagnet. So START was the first step to getting into the Gründungsmagnet ecosystem. With PwC, I would say there was no straight connection.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also with like working in audit, so something really completely different to innovation.
Yeah.
I mean, we also do some innovative things. We want to optimize things, but it's a different kind of innovation that I'm looking at START or Gründungsmagnet.
Yeah.
With the talent program, I think you know it as well. Solo is always happy to get people from START. So for sure there was a connection. They saw that I was part of START. And then I had a really nice talk with Johanna, and then I said, okay, let's go for it.
Yeah.
So
there's we have technical difficulties.
Yeah.
We say we're a fly.
Yeah. So I think there was a connection, but in general, also with my studies, no. I just
Yeah.
said business management is something general, and then let's see how it turns out. So most of the time, sometimes I just apply because I think that looks cool, and then I go straight forward.
Yeah. What would you say were some of the, let's say, the reasons that you were gravitating more towards the growth department and less so with the HR and people? Because even though you mentioned, right, you're in PwC also, but it's less, maybe less exciting, more standardized, more processes, and going from people and now growth the last year or so in the department. How do you motivate people to get involved with growth?
I mean, growth for me was first in the beginning, I saw many opportunities. And because of this standardized work every department has to do, sometimes the innovation part falls on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, it would be cool to have a top department which focus only on these opportunities and try to bring stuff forward.
Yeah.
We have some, for example, the START portfolio project from Yassi, which is I think one of these opportunities we had, but also how with the workshops about personal growth then. And I think the best part of the growth department was at this time, it's a new department.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe also like a mistake we did in the beginning was that every department with the new board structures, we didn't set clear lines, whereas the differences between the departments. For me, it was like the biggest benefit because no one said what I can do, and no one said I can't do this and that.
There's more freedom. There's more freedom for sure.
It was so much freedom. I just tried to do the best out of it, and so we did many ideas, many things at the same time. Some worked out, some don't.
Yeah.
For example, Zapier, now we have the processes, but we don't have Zapier. So we have many things we did. Also, if they failed for now, that it would be something for the future. And I think that was a thing, or the reason why I joined growth, or said I want to have a growth department for START Nürnberg, because other chapters have it as well.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting you mentioned, because I think a lot of people that want to first get involved with entrepreneurship and startups, I think it's natural to want to do a lot of things at once, and see what works, let's say. But then also the next question is always usually, how do you manage everything? So let's say you're in the growth department and you have all these projects, and not to mention, of course, as people are going to be listening to this, that they're also studying. So how do you, what do you think, and how do you make sense of time management for you? And also for your department, let's say.
I think my management with my department was horrible at the beginning. We just did the meetings and I said, okay, these are the tasks we have to do in this. And then we talked about the tasks we need to do for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then the rest of the hour was just brainstorming, do things we had fun with. So, and then everyone knows, okay, I need to do this. This is mandatory. And then the rest was like, you have the complete freedom, just tell me what you want to do and I help you there. So I think in the end, I said, okay, when you give so much freedom to the people, for sure the efficiency goes down a little bit. It's because it's a student initiative and it's a free thing you can do besides your studies. And when you don't have like mandatory tasks, you don't put that much time at some point into START.
Sure.
So at one point I said, okay, I want to actively manage more. which is not my favorite approach, but at some point you need to realize, okay, you can't let everyone go in 1,000 directions.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, okay, this is a goal. The way how you get there, it's your own decision. But I'm there if you have any questions, and you go right away. With my time management, I would say I work too much. And my time management was horrible. I think what I now use is like reframing. I just said 2 hours for that, 2 hours for that. It helps me to work efficiently, but I don't want to maximize my time. I want to optimize it.
Okay.
Because I think when you maximize it, you get into like a really bad mood, because you wake up, you want to be perfect, and you stress yourself more out than you really efficiently work on something.
Sure.
And with the optimized approach, you say, hey, maybe for example, the goal would be I want to have 2 months of vacation each year. So I try to work in the 10th month efficient. Like in 10 months, I would try to work for 12. So we really work efficiently and optimize the time you have at this 10 month.
Sure.
To maximize, optimize the output. And I think that's way more healthy, because then you know, okay, I work in the 10 months, I work so hard, or optimize everything I have every time or every minute to get 2 months of vacations.
Yeah.
So try this now. I think for now it works quite good. But I think also with the time management at the beginning, I was like, I'd set up meetings there, meeting there. So it was way too much.
Yeah.
Also with then PwC, you know, the working hours at some point, it's like, not to work 40 hours a week. Sometimes you need to work more. It's like crucial rule in the business world. So it was like I came home, then I had like meetings until like 10 or like maybe sometimes to midnight. And then I went to sleep, and I still wake up at 6 or something like that. So it was way too much.
Yeah.
And I think it's like bad time management, because at some point you have to realize some meetings are not necessary.
Yeah.
And at some time you also need time for like going out with friends, vacation,
Time for yourself also,
or like
of course.
also for your girlfriend. Or like my ex-girlfriend hated it when I had all that meetings.
Yeah.
Because then I came home officially to spend time with her, and then I had meetings, and she was all the time, I hate START.
Yeah.
Because of this.
Yeah.
Because then she heard me talking, and she was like, Lorenzo, you're always like discussing
You're
things.
always stressed.
Not stressed, but you're always discussing things which are not important.
Yeah.
And I said,
okay.
Yeah, maybe. And I said, but I have to. And now, like afterwards, I'm also like in the last month, I said, okay, maybe she was right. Because some meetings at some point when there's no output, also at PwC, I learned it from a colleague. She said, when he sees in a 10 to 15 minutes in the beginning that the output or the direction it goes is not valuable, it's like not necessary, then you say, hey guys, maybe you just sit together in your team again, and then we have another meeting at another point.
Okay.
Because right now he don't see the value into having this meeting. And I said, okay,
especially in the first set 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, and then I said, okay, I will do this also in the future. So I also had this at some point at START recently. I said, okay, nice to see you again, but I think this meeting is unnecessary because there's no output, no value. Maybe you just take your time, reflect, and then you come back to me when you have like a clear vision, for example. So this would be my approach, to also reflect what is necessary, what not. Also to save up time for other things.
Exactly.
For you, for example.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's completely natural to, like I mentioned before, you want to be involved in everything. This is kind of my journey also. Like, oh, I want to do everything, but you also want to have your own time for your own sake, of course. Let's say spending time with friends or going to the gym, etc. Going out. That's social life. Because I remember I have a good friend who was a BMW salesman. Right, so he was actually he loved the revenue he was making for the compensation, let's say. Right, but he would tell me, yeah, I mean, I'm working, let's say 60 or 70 hours a week, but I know that when I get home, I'm home. You know, I'm not doing anything regarding work.
Yeah.
But of course, it can differ for people like, let's say, like us, because we have online meetings more often, and we have this, let's say, the agility that we need to have. And the flexibility, but it's a good lesson to tell people that you need to really make sure that you're providing value.
Yeah, I mean,
with your own level of freedom, let's say.
There are many approaches, like the reframing is one that I learned recently, and also with this, like, say you want to go on vacation for 2 months, was one of my mentors. He was also an ex-study. He said, like, Lorenzo, it's way it's like way like stress releasing when you just say, this is like a thing, I want to optimize my time, because no one is perfect.
Yep.
When no one is 100% perfect, then you would be a robot. It's like you won't, you need to learn how to get happy with maybe 90% or 80 or 88%.
Yeah.
It's still so good.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stress yourself out to be perfect, then you get ill at one point, or you just like you don't have energy for this. So
Yeah. What would you say also for the moving away from time management, but also just maybe lessons that were very much unexpected? Because you have this certain expectation when you join a nonprofit or a student organization, also in line with, let's say, a working student position. But anything that you realize, like, wow, this is an interesting lesson from, even it can be like a functional or maybe working with people, but anything in the last that you can think of in the last year that almost like you have the learning curve can really increase in certain areas. But
let's say everyone is different. This was my
yeah.
lesson first. I think why everyone is different. I think it's normal. Everyone is an own individual. What it means for management, for example, that you need to communicate with everyone differently. And I think you have people who are a leader and want to lead. Then you have people who are just happy with their Excel sheet, for example. Some people want just like people pleaser. So they just do what when I say to you, can you do this? And then they know they don't have the time, but they still say yes.
Yeah.
So you need to find ways to communicate with everyone differently or in the right way. I think when you like master the communication, I think then you will be successful. Then you will be a good leader as well. I think communication, if you master communication 100%, then there's no limit until the sky.
Yeah.
Because I also saw it at the board at START, for example, we are all different personalities. We all had our different approaches, also regarding leading our teams or just in general leading. And I make no secret out of it. For example, Lina and me are so differently. I mean, that's also good that we are differently because we see different things. And when you see different things, you can also use it for new opportunities. But let's say her leading still was not my leading still.
Yeah.
And that also for sure came to discussion at one point.
Yep.
And it's also then hard to find like a way how to deal with it. I think that's also then again how the communication comes in, when communication comes in.
Yeah.
So communication was like the biggest lesson, and I think it's also the hardest thing to learn.
Yeah.
Because when you
cannot just just read theory.
Yeah,
you have to.
You can read a lot of books. There are a lot of books which you can read, but in the end, it's just a theory.
Yeah.
How do you practice this? So I mean, also when you want to learn the communication, you also learn you need to learn people. Because I think first, before you start to communicate with someone, you have to like maybe think about what is the person like, what are his preferences. Is he maybe a little bit more shy, or maybe more like eager to speak? For example, I'm someone who speaks too much, I would say.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, so I sometimes forget to ask questions.
Yeah.
To keep so I'm just having a monologue, and then people who maybe like also want to say something, they feel like overwhelmed because they think, he's talking so much, he's not asking any questions. And I think also the most important fact for people who talk too much, we also miss opportunities.
Okay.
Because we forget, when you meet cool people, you have to ask them questions to learn something. And when we just talk our monologue, we don't learn anything.
Yeah.
So I really start to focus on asking questions when I speak to some people where I say they are really cool. So that's a learning. Ask questions. Also with my PwC working student job, ask questions, because when you don't ask questions, everyone think you are fine and you are going well. When you don't ask questions, when you ask questions, it doesn't mean that you are too stupid to do the task, or you like maybe completely overwhelmed by all the tasks and you can't handle it, or that you maybe don't know something what you need to know or like officially need to know for your job, it doesn't. When you ask questions, always better than just pretend you are able to do the task, because then in the end it ends not good most of the time.
Sure. Yeah, of course. I can completely. That resonates to some level for sure, because I also viewed myself like, oh, I want to. I'm excited to meet this person, so I want to talk. But then you have to really realize, like, hey, wait. I mean, it's also worthwhile to learn something, and mutually, let's say. So asking questions is a really critical element and lesson that we can bring forward. But also, I wanted to ask, let's say people, there's different preferences and traits, of course, and personalities. I mean, that we find in organizations and startups. But we can even go before this, and let's say someone is trying to identify what they're good at, their strengths and such, and they're still early in this. How do you move forward if you don't, let's say, feel ready to embark on this?
Regarding your personality?
Yeah, like not knowing your strengths or your skill set.
Try out many things, because it's also what I said. For example, with PwC, I mean, it's a big corporate in audit. But I said, I don't know where I want to go in the future, where I want to work. And I said, okay, let's try it out. Where are my strengths? For example, when I went there, I said, okay, let's look at it. I am completely free. I want to learn. I'm eager to learn. And I think also after that, I know, okay, maybe this was not completely my work I want to do. And also at START or as Gründungsmagnet, when you try out many things, I think at one point when you're good at self-reflecting, you also need to reflect on that afterwards.
That's
Otherwise,
really important.
it's like you're useless. When you try many things, you will see when you reflected, what are you good at? For example, I would say, beside my grammar in English, I would say I'm really good at speaking. I'm really bad at writing. I think that's obvious, because then you get exams and you see when everything is read. That's the easy part. They're like, for example, like academically, you will find it out quite easy, because in the end you have a grade, and then you say, okay, the grade is good or bad. But in your private life, you always have to reflect, where are your strengths. But also the same with sport. Sport is also quite easy. When you run, you see your time, and then you say, okay, I'm good at it or bad. But when it's about like personalities, for example, I'm good with self-reflecting, or let's say handling stress. You need to try out first many things, and then you have to say, reflected, okay, at this job I was quite good in communication, for example, with other team members, and I was really good at self-reflecting. Maybe this is my strengths. But then you said, okay, but in other, let's say 4 jobs, in the other 3 jobs you were like quite bad. So maybe it was just the team who really communicated with me, so not me. So you could say, okay, maybe communication is not my strength now, but I think communication you can always work on. But maybe I'm really good at Excel, for example.
It's always 2 ways, right?
So I think this would be my approach: try out many things and then reflect what you're good at.
That's great. That's great to hear, because I think for maybe our generation or maybe even younger, I think self-reflection is a really, really important lesson to talk about more and more. Because I think, let's say you have this thing where everyone's looking at social media, etc. So you have all this opportunity, so you want to try out more and more things, but that aspect of self-reflection is more than important, I would say. You can really then decide.
Self-reflection is it's also hard, but I think also for me in the last 3 months I learned how to self-reflect better. Before that, I think I also was like this typical like man, like I'm the best in everything what they're talking about. But I think when you self-reflect, you also learn how to improve things, and then you see the value in doing it. Because it's not easy for everyone, for anyone. Self-reflecting is always shit, because then you have to tell yourself, I'm bad at this and this and this, and then your list goes on, and you're like, what I'm actually good at. And then your social media kicks in, and then the social media tells you also you're just a stupid random dude who wants to be an investment banker or something like that. Finance bro. And then you're like even more into this deep hole. But when you say, okay, maybe they're right, it's not it's not it's so then you say, okay, let's learn out of it, and then in like 1 month you say, okay, I learned something,
Yeah.
and then you say, okay, I'm a better person now. Maybe not at the goal where I want to be, but at least you did the right steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, small steps are more valuable than big steps.
Mm-hmm.
With let's say, let's take the example marathon, when you say, okay, now I reflected and say I want to change everything tomorrow, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're going on a run tomorrow, and then you say,
That was
I'm
awful.
still bad. Yeah,
That
for
was
sure
awful.
you're still bad. Nothing will change in one
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
You need to improve yourself really with small steps over, like, let's say, a year or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you also mentioned a really interesting point that the that for sports and for school, there's these clear processes and the grading systems that you get instant results, or at least instant feedback, let's say, right?
Yeah.
But that element on your personal goals and the private life, that becomes much more important. And maybe we can see also a shift for our generation, that we're trying to also, of course, it's like work-life balance, but it's also more on, hey, I mean, I have these KPIs at work, but I need to have my own KPIs also,
Yeah, that's where you can use like a goal, just use a mind map, like a big paper, and then say what's important to you,
Yeah.
what you want to do in the future. Let's say what you want to have in the future, maybe like a family or wife, or I don't know, a big boat. Write it down, use
A big yacht.
Yeah, big yacht. Use pictures and write it down, and then hang it up at your door or something like that, so you know every morning when you wake up, this is what I'm working for, or this is what I'm looking into the future.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be financially only. It can also be like, like I said, friends.
Yeah.
You want to be a good friend, or you want to have a big family, so something like
It's
that.
it's also I've heard it as making sure you redefine and understand your purpose and let's say, like, your why. You hear it a lot in startups, like, why are you doing
It's a
this?
golden circle. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can also attribute it to your own, right? It's maybe, let's say, I remember
For sure.
during COVID, was it like 5 years ago now? I was like, oh, I just want to be healthy, and I want to be active, and let's say almost like ripped to this point, But then you start to really reflect, and because it can be, let's say, self-centered this way. And now for me, I've tried to really make it more outward and more people orientated, or like, let's say, impact. So even without being biased, let's say, but what have you seen changes, or let's say, have you redefined your own purposes and why?
I mean, like before the last 3 months, before I split up with my girlfriend, I was like, okay, I want to work Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan,
Yeah.
like 100%, 120 hours a week,
Yeah.
like hardcore time.
Yeah.
Maybe some of it, some like in the technology investment area, like, or like at one point, like private equity.
Yep.
And then I said, I will go over everything. It's like, it's my main goal. I want to be there. I want to be a millionaire. Maybe let's say like this is quite easy. But then after I said, okay, I looked at my calendar. I said, okay, working like close to 100 hours a week with like START, Nürnberg work, and then university for sure. I mean, the university part, you can also set, okay, I just learn 1 hour a week. That's like, this is quite flexible. But in the end, you still need to write exams. So at some point, you have to step up a little bit with the time. And then I said, okay, is it really what I want? And then I said, nah, okay, maybe. I mean, to have a good job, or no, I still want to experience this like trading floor, London, Frankfurt, like this investment part, but just to have this experience. But in the end, like when I go on to, let's say, to 30, I want to have like a happy family. I want to have more time for my family than I have now. Also, let's say I want to go on vacation. So a lot of free time, I would say, to also travel around the world, maybe. Because most of the people in Germany, after the A-levels, they go to Australia, Canada, work and travel. And I also have one friend, he did it, and I'm quite, so it looks so cool. And it's like, as always I say, maybe this is one of my regrets, where I said, maybe I shouldn't have gone to TNZ to work. Maybe I should have gone to like Australia.
Almost like you mean like a gap year, or
Yeah,
you are
year.
still working and studying in
gap
these?
year, or maybe like working and travel hub.
Okay.
So I said, okay, with 30, I want to have a happy family. I want to have still a certain lifestyle, because I like fashion. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you love fashion, you still need a little bit of like an income. So
Yes.
you still need a good job, but I want to have a job where, say, I have the flexibility to say, maybe I want to bring my child into the kindergarten. So say, okay, I want to have the time to bring it. So for sure, then you need to be on a certain level, because when you're starting at a big corporate, then this normally don't give you the freedom to say, okay, it's okay when you come at 10 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to be at 8. So that's something I will redefine for me personally in the last 3 months. So say I want to have more time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Less, because I maybe also realize career is not everything. I mean, for sure, on your CV and your resume, when you started to explain who I am, it sounds cool when you have a lot of things on your resume, but in general, it's also the other things which are important. I mean,
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I think that's also a great area that people are really interested in right now for our generation, especially. It was like we almost want to dive so deep into career and independence and having uh, our own freedom. Yeah, really to choose what we want to do. But of course, we live in a world where things are just getting more expensive, right?
yeah,
But it's also really insightful. I want to say that people can have been reflecting more and more and like say, hey, let's say in 5, 10 years, I do want
yeah,
to have, let's say, my own home, my
yeah,
own family, and how we can achieve that, how we
yeah.
can get there, is becoming more important, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I
yeah,
mean, in the end, you still need to work a little bit in your life. I'm sorry for every student who think after their studies they are rich. So it's not true.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
still
yeah,
need to work a lot.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, at least, like I would say, the difference is: are you working 60 years to get to the point where you're happy, or is it like you say you work 10 years efficiently to the point where you want to
Mm-hmm.
be? In the end, the easiest way to be like flexible, rich, and all this stuff. Maybe okay, maybe not rich. I think rich is also like a bad motivation.
Yeah.
Let's say flexible and
Mm-hmm.
have time for your family. It's always the best way to found your own company, because when you work in the corporate world, you will never get the flexibility because you're
Yeah.
working for someone. When you're working for yourself, you always have more
Sure.
flexibility.
Sure. Yeah.
So it always encourages people to do something on their own. I won't say that corporate world is bad, but if you really want to have the 100% flexibility, you need to do something on your own.
Mm-hmm.
It is how it is.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Or you
There's
need to be the CEO.
yeah.
But then you don't have the same flexibility than someone who works
You
on
can
his own.
yeah, the CEOs probably, or even people in higher management, they're going to have more responsibility, but it can vary, of course, in
Yeah,
industry.
because they
But
have to sign the papers
yeah, yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah.
Because when you sign it on your own, you can do whenever you want. Because or at least most of the time, because then you're just getting like a pissy email from your lawyer, maybe because where's my document? You still need to sign it ASAP. But when you're a CEO, you get like papers every day, and then you need to sign it straight away,
Yep.
and you need to read it through, and then you're sitting there in the office, and then the people under you are counting on you that you do your job.
Mm-hmm.
So you have at least a little bit more flexibility because no one will check your work, but you still need to perform. And so I would say do it on your own.
Yeah.
Do something on your own. When you have like a big idea or company, go out there and just do it now.
Yeah. How do you see it for growing up here in Germany? Do you see this trend also increasing where people want to be more innovative and start their own business? But there's also that sense from, let's say, from international students that they see like, hey, there's a lot of security and stability in a corporate, or even just in joining a family business, etc. For the long run. But
I think I think my main issue with like studies in general is that many people study with the intention to at least have something on their
yeah,
CV, like a bachelor degree or master degree. And I think many German students are still looking for like the perfect corporate job,
mm,
because like the prestige to working on a big corporate is bigger than to work at a startup,
yeah,
or like maybe let's say to do something on their
sure. There's less
own.
prestige. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and that's like it's just prestige, and I think many students are looking just for the prestige and like a stable job where they have a stable income. So because like it's not no secret, the classic German person is not willingly to take risk.
Mhm.
You see it in the financing and investing.
Sure.
They don't want to take any uncalculated risk. So we won't find that many students who say, okay, I have still a lot of things on my plate, but let's found the startup because
Yeah.
this idea is so great. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You find, I think that's like really not the average. So what I think, it's like an unpopular opinion. I think when like international students are way more eager to take the risk, or way more eager to making the big step for their own company.
Mhm.
I won't say that everything will be successful,
Yeah.
but I see maybe it's also because like the German students, in comparison to some international students where they come from, already lived a really privileged life and
Mhm.
see it from their parents' house that to work on a big corporate is chill, they get a fixed income and all this stuff. And then, I say, in comparison, the international students, they're coming from India, Mumbai, or something, I don't know, or maybe from South America, where
Mhm.
they have where they see I would say a different world,
Sure. Yeah.
where they see, okay, when you don't work really hard and take the risk to go to Germany now, you could end up in the cartel or the mafia or in the
Yeah,
slum.
you're right.
In the
Sure,
worst
sure,
case,
sure.
yeah.
Yes, I know what you
But
mean. Yeah.
they have a completely different
Yeah.
motivation because when they go, I would also say when you go like completely all over the world to study,
Mhm.
then you go there also with the motivation to make to like have like at least have good grades, I would say.
Yeah.
To also, because I think some parents are also paying a lot to get their people or like their kids at least to the just to get there.
Yeah.
So they also see the investment from the parents, so they're way more eager to learn and making the big steps.
Mhm.
So I would say this is like the difference between the international and German students. Because the
But then,
Germans,
yeah,
they
it's
know
yeah.
when they do the bachelor, the masters, then going to Siemens, for example,
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
The international students like, okay, I need to get a good grade in my masters. My parents are paying me, and my family in India or like Brazil is counting on me that I
Yeah.
get grades and coming back with a fortune
Mhm.
maybe, or it would, I don't know with the fortune, but
Yeah,
at
we say
least with,
fortune with yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean. Eh?
Yeah.
So not with a German wife, but
That would be the fortune.
but yeah,
Sure, sure. But then I agree. We can even make it more universal, right? That I think
yeah,
when as soon as people leave their home country, you become more risk taking, right? And maybe you become. It can be there's a saying that the ambition can be a double-edged sword, right?
yeah,
But at least you know that there's more motivation incentives for yourself
yeah,
once you leave your bubble, right?
yeah.
So maybe for German students, as soon as they most likely than not, right? If they go and study abroad, they could come back and become more risk taking. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
but I think it's also like the most important thing to go at least at some point outside of the world,
Yeah. Then I'll
like
leave
going
you.
abroad.
Yeah, exactly. It was very much my
Mm.
experience traveling abroad here in Germany. But I want to leave you with a final question. Do you have a dream project or event that you love to launch for yourself, considering all these topics? Let's give us a modest of timeline of 2 years in the next two
Okay.
years.
I would say like right now for the next month, it's like the Munich Startup Festival, which I'm happily planning for Gründungsnacht, for example,
Yeah.
which is maybe the biggest thing I ever planned. It's also way bigger than what we see at START Nürnberg, for example. I think it's like 400 to 500 people, so
Yeah.
it's way bigger.
I would.
Um,
Yeah.
but also for next year, we want to scale up the Innovation Festival, Elias and me. So this
Ah,
is a
yeah.
really big goal that we like really create or like really this Innovation Festival will be there for the next 10 years. That
Mm-hmm.
it's like everyone knows there's an Innovation Festival in Nuremberg, and everyone around, or at least in Europe, comes for this festival. So that we create like an atmosphere like that. Something like Slush, for example, in
Oh, yeah.
Helsinki, or like Vivatech in Paris, that we really create with others and also with Start an event like that for Nuremberg, because I think it's like necessary and also useful for scaling up the whole ecosystem in Nuremberg. It would be maybe also the missing stone right now, because we have Zollhof, we have
Yeah.
the Tech Incubator, maybe also the Tech Factory, we don't know yet. So we have many great things, but I think one event which brings also people from outside of Nuremberg to Nuremberg to see this ecosystem, to feel the ecosystem. Like maybe one of the examples which goes in the right direction, in my opinion, is the Nuremberg Digital Festival, something like that. Maybe for myself in the next 2 years, for sure my bachelor's. Maybe also study abroad. That's something I want to do. And then also maybe as I said, my investing internship. So, but I think that would be it. So maybe like president at START Nürnberg, and then the things we will see how it goes. But I think there are many cool projects on the way. I don't have a favorite. I just want to experience the freedom and on being part of great projects.
Yeah, you're clearly an investor. You have a diverse portfolio, so you want
to
still have many projects that you're gonna be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like read like right now, like the philosophy of money. It also says VCs, for example, they invest into 10,000 companies. 50% or 60% fail. They lose money. Then like 20%, like 30% make 10 times of the the investment. Then you have like it's I think it's also too high. Maybe it's wrong what I say, but 5% like 20 times, and then like under 1% like bring 50 times the investment in. So that's what I said. If you fail one project, it's okay. Just do the next one.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for in the future. Munich Festival, then looking for the next one, and then go on. And also, I think there will be exciting years the next 2 years. I'm looking forward to it.
Sweet. Yeah, very much look forward to it.
Yeah.
I think I want to first thank you for your time.
It was a pleasure.
There was a lot of topics we discussed. I think we can really see a lot of lessons in leading and in growth, and also your personal ambitions and projects. So once again, Lorenzo, a student, a strategist, and a startup builder. Let's have these titles for yourself, and I can't wait to see where we go next.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time as well.
And sweet.